What is up everyone, FPL Harry here and welcome back to a new video, to a new season of Fantasy Premier League. The game is not launched yet, the fixtures are not out, although they are out later this week. Today we're going to have a look at some of the key players and what I predict their prices are going to be going into the upcoming FPL 2022-23 season. For the first time, I am saying that line. We're going to start off with Liverpool. We'll also have a look at Tottenham, Chelsea, Manchester City and a few of the other key assets that you'll be wanting to own in your Game Week 1 squads. Thank you all for returning to the channel. We are back again for another season. There'll be plenty of videos, streams, the usual stuff, and hopefully a few upgrades for you all, as you can hopefully see as we start in this first video. If you are enjoying it, if you are looking forward to the new season, let me know in the comment section down below. Drop a like on the video as well and subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, let's get into these videos ahead of the new season. Quite a lot of time left, but a few predicted prices to start off. We've got Liverpool first. So we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson here. Again, two of the most high-scoring defenders this season. Robertson particularly having a good second half of the season, which is often taken into account more when they are looking at player prices. Trent doing well in the first half of the season. I do expect Trent to have a higher price going into this season, only by 0.5, with Trent coming in at 8.5 and Robertson coming in at 8. I think realistically these players should be more high in price if you actually look at their value that they have. If you look at the players in midfield and up front that score a similar amount of points to these two, then I think they should be, 9 million, but I don't think that's actually what's going to go and happen. So these are the prices I have gone with these two. Next up, we've gone with a cheaper option in defence is Van Dijk at 7 million. Now, Matip in there as well is likely to be 6.5. Van Dijk is probably the one that is more nailed, with Konate maybe getting a more frequent run of starts in the team. But I do like what he can offer at 7 million with the attacking threat a bit cheaper, especially at the start of the season when we don't have as much money to invest in. Having the likes of Van Dijk in there over the likes of Trent or Robertson could be that saving that you need. Now, in terms of the attackers, Salah, of course, is one I had to do. We don't have Mane in here because it does look like he's off. No confirmed transfer for him yet, but we have gone with Salah. 12.5 million, again, expect him to be the most highly prized player in the game again this season, along with the likes of Haaland, De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, Ronaldo, Kane, Son, all of them up there, but I think Salah will be the most highly priced this season. Now, up front with him, we've got the likes of Jota and Diaz. I've priced them both at the same, and I think this is quite possibly what FPL decide to go and do. 9 million, because whoever nails down a spot in that front three is going to be an absolutely brilliant asset, and to be honest, a bargain at that price if they do decide to price them at 9. I've definitely got my eyes on pre-season to see which of these two is likely to be a consistent starter at the start of the season. Do they sign a few more players to potentially replace Mane? What do they decide to do? But those are a few of my Liverpool predicted prices. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with some of the ones that I've gone in here. Now, next up on the list, we do have Chelsea. 5 players to go with here, 2 defenders and then 3 attackers that we've got here. Ben Chilwell is great to finally put a video up. We've got Ben Chilwell back in the players that we are looking at. Reece James in there as well. Again, a little bit like Trent and Robertson, they have gone with a bit of a 0.5 difference for these two. So Chilwell coming in at 6 million and then 6.5 in there for Reece James. Reece James slightly more. He played more games. He had that sort of explosive potential. However, given that he didn't actually score as many points as the likes of Cancelo, Trent and Robertson, I have gone with 6.5 for him with Chilwell down at 6. It's possible that both of these two get 0.5 increase on what I've got here. So Chilwell at 6.5 and Reece James at 7. But if they start doing that, then there's a lot of money in all of the premium defenders that I think they'll maybe want to give a little bit of flexibility, and I think these Chelsea defenders may be how they do it. Now, up front, the only Chelsea striker that we had last season really to look at was Lukaku. He was not a good option, and I'm thinking he's going to have a big price decrease down to 10. He might not even be at Chelsea, and if he is, he might not be a starter, so they need to be a bit more flexible with the pricing that he has. 10 million. Now, a Chelsea player that I think will have a position change and a price increase is Kai Havertz. From a midfielder up to a forward, is playing up front for a lot of time for Chelsea, and up to 9 million. Again, because of that rotation risk with Lukaku, I don't think he'll be as highly priced as some of those other forwards that we've seen, like Jamie Vardy, like Firmino in previous years. I do think 9 million is a fair price for him. He has scored some goals, but again, not explosive enough to go over the 10 million mark for me. But I do think Havertz will be moved to a forward as well. And the final one that we have owned quite consistently over the past season is Mason Mount. I don't think he'll go as high up with Kai Havertz, given that Kai is playing that more advanced role. But Mason Mount, I've gone with 8.5 million. Again, on set pieces for Chelsea, a really nice asset. Again, with the amount of premiums that we've got, we will be looking at these mid-priced mids, and I do think Mason Mount could be a good one for us. Now, next up, the team we're going to look at is Tottenham. Two players in particular I'm sure you are interested in seeing the predicted prices for in Kane and Son. We have a few others here as well. Kane coming in at 12 and Son in at 12. Now, a lot of discussion about do we think Son is going to be a forward or a midfielder. I've gone with the fact that I think he'll be a midfielder again, but priced at exactly the same price as Kane. There's no reason in my mind that these two should be any different in price. They are scoring similar points. If anything, Son is outscoring Kane. Now, I don't think he'll be priced more than Kane, but I think pricing them at the same is a very realistic strategy. Let me know if they were priced the same, which of these two would you own in your team for game week 1, if they have a nice run of fixtures, of course. Now, the other front three that we've got is Kulusevski. Came in at an absolute bargain, around 6.5 by the end of the season. I expect he's going to have a nice price increase up to 9 million. However, it's still 3 million less than the likes of Kane or Son, and if he starts consistently again at the beginning of the season and he continues on the form that he showed at the end of last season, he could still be a bargain even at that price. Then we look in defence. Now, Perisic is one that people were unsure if he's going to come in as a defender or as a midfielder. I've predicted that he'll be coming in as a 6 million defender. Defender rather than midfielder because he has played at wing back for the majority of the past few seasons. He'll come in as a similar price as Ben Chilwell, slightly less than Reece James. There is a very, very small chance that he comes in at 5.5, but given the attacking threat that he can have, I do think he will be coming in at 6 million. Now, another slightly cheap option, Matt Doherty, a player who had a lot of returns going into the second half of the season in those blanks and double game weeks. I think he'll be 5.5 because there is rotation at that right wing back spot with Emerson Royale as well. So if Doherty is starting consistently at the start of the season, I do like what we could get with him. However, at the moment, I think Perisic is the one I'll really be looking at because of how assured I think he'll be on that left-hand side. Next up, we are looking at Manchester City, one of the teams I'm sure you're wanting to see in this video. If you are enjoying, please do hit that like button, subscribe, use the comment section. Let me know what you think of these player prices. It really does help out the channel as we start to build up a bit of momentum going into pre-season. So we've got 6 players here. We start off in defence where I've got Cancelo at 7.5. Slightly cheaper than Robbo and Trent because the attacking threat is not quite the same. But the clean sheets are there, the attacking threat and the bonus points is all there. I expect Cancelo to be a minimum of 7, but I think 7.5 realistically. Now, Diaz and Laporte are very solid, nailed options in that Manchester City defence as we saw in the second half of this season. I think they'll be priced at the same. It seems only fair. They are very similar players in terms of playing style and in terms of their FPL returns. 6.5, a million cheaper than Cancelo, and I do think this makes us have a bit of a decision to make whether you go with the likes of Cancelo at 7.5 or save a million. And I think game week 1, it could be a good place to try and save a bit of money. Now, into the attack, midfield, we have Foden and De Bruyne, the two that I've picked out. Foden, again, going up in price to the likes of what Diaz, Jota and Mason Mount are in and around that price. Again, he's not had a consistent season again to see him go up to the likes of 9, 9.5 in my opinion. He's not nailed enough to go up to those prices that we'll see potentially Diaz and Jota hit, which is why I've priced him at slightly lower at the same price I had for Mason Mount. Now, the next up, Kevin De Bruyne. Again, a lot of you will be thinking about the link up that he will have with Haaland. We'll talk about Haaland in just a minute. 11.5 for the midfielder. Again, not likely to be on penalties anymore, but we saw at the end of last season what he is capable of doing when he does get a good run of form and a good run of starts. 11.5. Think he'll be slightly cheaper than Haaland, who I have got priced at 12 million. Again, we saw what we did in the Bundesliga. We saw what he can do playing internationally, playing at Dortmund. He is an incredible player and a player that I think a lot of Premier League teams would have wished they signed. 12 million, he is going in at 0.5 more than De Bruyne. It's possible that he comes in at 11.5 just because they do price players slightly lower who are coming in from another league because it's a bit unsure about how well they're going to perform. However, the hype around this player does mean that I do think he'll come in at 12 million. I think he's likely to be a consistent starter. There's always a lot of debate about new Manchester City signings, about how quickly they get embedded in that team. I do think he will start consistently. Maybe the odd game he may miss out, but now Pep has that focal number 9. I do think he'll be going with him week in, week out as well. So those are some of the Man City options. Now, we've done all the key teams, but before we wrap up, let's have a look at a few of the sort of other key players that you may be looking to own from a variety of teams. Starting off with Jared Bowen at West Ham. Again, I'm expecting this 8 million to sort of 9 million midfield bracket to be very, very populated. Bowen, I think, will be one of those that sees a big price increase. He had a great season and finished the season really well, despite us not owning him in FPL so much. Up to 8.5 is my prediction. Rafinha, I've got in at 7. Actually had quite a quiet season. Only one double-digit return for him at the whole of last season. 0.5 increase from the 6.5 he had last season, which I do think was a bit low, but not that much given the way Leeds performed. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo, I do think there'll be a slight downgrade for the likes of Ronaldo and Bruno Fernandes as well. He's gone in at 11 million. It is slightly cheaper than we've seen for Son, Kane and Haaland, and then for Kevin De Bruyne as well. I like him as an option if they find a bit of form, and I do think at his price, but the older he gets, the less minutes he can play in. And I do think that'll be included when they decide his price. So he has gone in with 11 million. The final three that we've got, the first one is Coutinho. Again, made his move to Aston Villa, confirmed over the summer. He's gone in at 7.5, slightly cheaper than some of the others. Again, I really like him if he finds his form again that he showed when he first joined, not so much at the end of the season. Again, I think Watkins will be a very similar price for Aston Villa, if not the same price as well. Next up, Saka, who I'm sticking in at 8.5 as well. Again, I think a lot of us will maybe looking at 2 premiums and then a few players in and around this 8.5 million midfield bracket. I really like him. He finished really strongly. He might be on penalties as well for Arsenal, like we saw at the end of last season. Again, sort of main talisman for them. If they have a nice run of fixtures, he'll definitely be one that I want to own. Of course, he finished the season with a bit of an injury, so we'll have to make sure that he's overcome that over the summer. I have no doubt that he will do, but he does need a bit of time off to hopefully hit the ground running game week 1. And then finally, we've got James Maddison, who I've priced at 7.5. He may be 8, but I don't think they'll price him quite as high as the likes of Bowen, Saka, Mount, and Foden that we've spoken about so far this video. So those are just some of my first price predictions. We'll be back with a video when the fixtures drop, as well as when the game is launching next week as well. Thank you all very much for watching. Please do leave a comment, like the video if you have enjoyed it and you're looking forward to the season launching. Please subscribe if you are new as well. There is so much to come. So many videos in pre-season streams, as well as the season goes on. You can see my previous ranks there. Hopefully I can give you a little bit of a helping hand this season if I didn't last season. Like and subscribe, and I'll be back again very soon.